What's up, everybody? It's Man of Low Moral Fiber here. My name's Luke, and one of my viewers had posed an interesting question recently. They had asked what I thought the most disappointing weapon in the game was, and I had never been asked that question before, and I had to think about it for a moment. Upon considering most of the options that I had available to me, two weapons really stuck out, Tiny Tina's Cobra and Sir Hammerlock's Elephant Gun. And I decided that the Elephant Gun was even more disappointing than the Cobra, and we're going to be going over some of those reasons now. I've obviously already profiled this weapon as part of my Does It Suck series, but we'll go a little bit more in depth as to why this weapon disappoints me so much in this video. First, we'll go over some of the cool things about the weapon. It has a really beautiful paint job or aesthetic to it with the blue and gold color scheme and the wooden accents. Beyond that, it also has a revolver cylinder, which is pretty unique and very cool for a sniper rifle in my opinion. Now, this weapon is also a signature weapon. It is Sir Hammerlock's Elephant Gun if you get it without a prefix, just like Tiny Tina's Cobra is. Now, obviously, the Cobra existed in Borderlands 1 and was much more powerful than it is here in Borderlands 2, but the Elephant Gun is even less powerful than the Cobra is, which is probably why it got the edge in my particular pick for most disappointing weapon. It does have the highest base damage for any sniper rifle in the game. We can see there that it is extremely high. However, the rest of the stats are pretty abysmal. The fire rate of 0.4 is the lowest for any sniper rifle, and the reload speed of 4.6 is the highest for any sniper rifle. Most sniper rifles have a reload speed of 3.1, and so this is almost 50% longer than that. And compared to a Sniper, it has less than a third of the fire rate that the Sniper has, and it has a fifth of the fire rate that the Longbow has. So we're going to test here with the legendary Sniper Comm and this skill build if that base damage is really going to make up for those abysmal scores in every other stat. Let's go ahead and get a one-shot, one-kill shot on this dummy here. Oops, I missed it. We'll go ahead and try again. You can see how long it takes to reload there, though. That's not very good. So we get 17,583k, which is a decent amount of damage, but if we compare that to a Sniper, we're going to get 15,933 plus 793 on the splash damage. So once the splash damage and impact damage are added together, the Elephant Gun barely outdamages the Sniper by a very small margin. And now let's go ahead and take a look at the Longbow. Now the Longbow is actually going to outdamage the Elephant Gun by a wide margin. We can see there that the Longbow hit 28,811k, which is very much higher than the Elephant Gun has. And that is because the Sniper and the Longbow are fire element and we are shooting a flesh target. So obviously we get that fire versus flesh boost. I'm also going to be using a Bone of the Ancients, which some of you might think could skew the results here. But I'm always going to be using a Bone of the Ancients on 0 because I think the cooldown rate is the best effect that you can get from a relic for 0, and I find it extremely beneficial with his action skill Deception. And so I would always be using a Bone of the Ancients, so I think it would be silly to test these weapons without a Bone of the Ancients, because if I was in a map where I'm going to be killing flesh enemies, I would be using the Fire Bone of the Ancients. If I was in a loader heavy area, I'd be using a Corrosive Bone of the Ancients. Obviously there's no Corrosive Longbow, but we could just use a Corrosive Sniper, for example. So, in comparison to what gear I would actually be using with the Elephant Gun or with a Sniper, the Sniper is a much better choice because obviously it has a much higher fire rate and a much more manageable reload speed. And because of that, it has a much higher synergy with, or a much better synergy with Critical Ascension, the capstone of Zero's Sniper tree. And you don't need Critical Ascension to kill enemies, but it does help significantly. And the fact that the Elephant Gun is pretty much the worst weapon or worst sniper to use with Critical Ascension does not help its viability in any way, shape, or form. You can see here that trying to get Critical Ascension with the Elephant Gun is difficult. It takes a long time between shots, as you're seeing here. And if we missed a shot and then had to reload, for example, we're probably going to get to the point where our Critical Ascension stacks start depleting before we can get that next critical hit. And so it just has almost no synergy with Critical Ascension, which really hurts the weapon's possible peak performance with Sniper Zer0. And some people might really want to like the Elephant Gun. It's Sir Hammerlock's signature weapon, just like Tiny Tina's Cobra is a signature weapon. And that might, give fans of Sir Hammerlock, for example, a desire to use this weapon. Some fans of a true Jacobs philosophy, one shot, one kill, might really, want to like this weapon, but I find it very, very difficult to like this weapon, despite the fact that it looks very cool. Another thing that is disappointing about the weapon is that it cannot spawn with the scope. And if it could spawn with the scope, it could get the base damage accessory, which is that little shroud there on top of the scope, and that would be much more beneficial than the critical hit damage bipod that it can spawn with. So I guess we'll take the elephant out to a map and see how we do. Now, I have looked at it in the Washburn Refinery before as part of my Does It Suck series, so I guess we'll take it to the Bloodshot Stronghold, for example, where enemies are going to have less health, but they will be quicker. They will have less critical hit spots than loaders do, obviously, and they will be moving a little bit more violently. So we'll see how the elephant gun does here. Now, there's really no way to actually use critical ascension properly with the elephant gun. Theoretically, I could use, say, a chaotic evil rogue comm and possibly get extra fire rate there, but I'm going to use the legendary sniper comm. Now, as you saw, I was able to get a one-shot, one-kill with deception and that one-shot, one-kill bonus on the bone crusher there. But here on the ironclad, without the one-shot, one-kill bonus, it's taking 3 shots to kill him. And so, oops, I did not mean to travel there. That was really weird. We'll go back in there. If you were to have a sniper rifle with a better fire rate, and it still took 3 shots to kill him because the damage really isn't that much better than, say, a Sniper or something, the total time to kill that enemy would actually be better with the Sniper or really any other sniper rifle with a superior fire rate. And when we get overkill damage, like we were going to get, or still did get on that guy there, all of that overkill damage goes completely to waste. It's not as if we get a a no-kill like overkill bonus on Zero like you would on Salvador, for example. And this weapon's very punishing if you happen to miss a shot. If I had missed the shot against that Nomad there, he would have got his shield in the way, and it would have been difficult to get another good shot on him because I definitely wouldn't be able to get it before his shield got in the way, because of the weapon's extreme fire rate delay. And so I missed the shot there, and you can see how long I have to wait in between shots. And it's not enough to actually just kill that guy, even though he was slagged and I hit a critical hit on him. So the base damage isn't enough to make up for its lack of fire rate, in my opinion, and it's just a very irritating and difficult weapon to use. Obviously, there are some other difficult weapons to use that really make up for that in potential power. This one doesn't really have that. I was barely able to kill a lunatic bomber before he got to me and exploded. And that's pretty poor. That's not something you would look for in a weapon. Obviously, coming out of deception, it's going to kill things. But so would just about any other sniper, especially, some that have almost comparable effective damage. This obviously has the highest base damage, but the effective damage of some elemental weapons is, very comparable. And the actual use of this weapon when not having deception and stuff is something that is not very good. We'll try to hit this guy here, and it's not as if we're going to be killing him without slag or a one-shot, one-kill bonus or deception bonus, because the weapon doesn't have that kind of power. It doesn't have the base damage to make up for its lack of fire rate and stuff like that. And that's not very good. That's not something that you would want in a weapon. So we'll keep trying to kill these guys here. We'll see how we do, and if we are able to do anything good with this weapon here. I missed my shot there, and so the game's very punishing when you miss shots with the elephant gun. Because it takes so long to get to your next shot, you'll probably have to retreat and find cover and stuff. So we were able to kill that guy there. And obviously enemies where you only have a brief chance to actually hit that critical hit, like ultimate badass nomads, are extra difficult to take out with the elephant gun. We'll see if I can get this here. Excellent. And as you can see there, even with the one-shot, one-kill bonus, deception, and slag, it wasn't enough to actually kill this guy. So if he didn't decide to do his charge animation there, or call to action, we would not have been able to kill that guy very easily. Excellent. So we killed that guy there, even though he applied that shock damage over time to us. And again, we had deception there. It was at the very end. I think We did not have the one-shot, one-kill bonus or slag, though. But as you can see, it wasn't powerful enough to actually kill that Bone Crusher. And so there are a lot of weapons that you'll actually get more, or a lot of snipers actually, that you'll actually get way more damage out of in the field because you'll begin to build critical ascension. And that's something that you can't really do effectively with the elephant gun because it fires so slowly. And it's not as if I have a prejudice against this weapon or anything. When I had first come to the weapon, I really wanted to like it. I thought it could be a good sniper, but it's not, unfortunately, because of all those drawbacks that I'm mentioning. There's a guy with a shock damage over time gun back there that we're going to have to find and kill. But game's punishing me for some misses right now here on this Nomad, and so we were finally able to kill him. There's the shock damage over time guy. I don't know if I want to get close enough to him, because if I miss the shot against him, I'm probably going to die. And I don't want to do that, so we're going to have to go at this situation very cautiously and smartly, because otherwise we're going to die to this shock damage over time guy. There's not too many ways around that, and that's not something we want. Alright, trying to run here, but the game wouldn't let me run while the Jacob's action was going on there. So we'll kill that guy. So it's not as if it's impossible to kill things with the elephant gun. With Zero's other sniper boost and stuff, it is, possible to kill these enemies and stuff. It's just far more arduous and difficult than it is with other snipers. It's kind of cool to see an enemy explode like that, but obviously the longbow would be doing even more damage to these guys, and we would have a fire rate that was such that we would actually be able to get critical ascension. However, we probably still wouldn't get critical ascension with that weapon because it kills so quickly, which is kind of a weird thing, and that's not the same problem that the elephant gun suffers from. Its problem is fire rate. If there were enemies that could survive a few hits like these non-slagged enemies would against the elephant gun, you would see it actually be still very difficult to build critical ascension with because of its abysmal fire rate. Shock damage over time guy right there is hiding very, very well, and we're going to try to kill him, but he's going to be hiding behind that wall there. So this weapon only giving us a chance to shoot every so often is really hurting our cause here. So even though the Nomad had put his head in a vulnerable spot for a pretty good period of time, we were still unable to hit him because the elephant gun was still unwilling to fire another shot with its abysmal fire rate. So we were finally able to actually get the critical hit on him, and so that took him out. So now we need to find that shock damage over time guy. He's way back there. Perhaps his accuracy won't be good enough to actually hit us back here, and we'll kill this guy. Oops, missed. So usually lunatics are no problem with Sniper Zer0. You just hit them in the head, and while they're running at you, and they run at you at such a slow speed relative to how quickly you can backpedal and stuff, that they're never really a problem. But with the elephant gun's abysmal fire rate, it becomes a little bit more difficult, and he actually gets in a range at which I can't hit that critical hit very easily fairly quickly, and that is relative to how fast I can shoot, at least. And that is bad news. This guy is much more difficult than a lunatic should ever really be to take out with Sniper Zer0. And as you can see here, it's just not good enough to actually kill him with its base damage. That's pretty poor. That's not something you would want from a possible one-shot, one-kill sniper. It's just not powerful enough to fill that role at overpower levels. I guess theoretically at some other difficulties, some inferior difficulties, it might actually have that killing power, which would make it relatively a little bit better compared to the challenge that the enemies actually pose. But in this case, it is not strong enough to do that, and it makes it basically a very, very poor weapon. Like, I would say it is easily one of the worst weapons in the game. Worst weapons overall. I mean, it's not like Chilean bad, which I do need to get to as part of my Does It Suck series eventually, but I mean, it's up there with the worst of them, in my opinion. It is that bad. It is so bad. And the fact that it can't spawn with a scope not only makes it more difficult to aim, but like I said, you can't get the best possible accessory for this sniper rifle either, which would have been the base damage accessory. So it's for all those reasons that I think the elephant gun is the most disappointing weapon in the game, or at least it would be my choice, because I would like for this weapon to be good. If it would be good, I would use it sometimes for fun and stuff, but it is so bad. You might have heard my stomach growling a little bit there. I apologize for that. And so I just find it to be easily the most disappointing weapon in the game for my taste. Let me know what you guys think is the most disappointing weapon in the game in the comments. As always, I thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. If you haven't yet taken the time to subscribe, please do so. Otherwise, I do hope to catch you next time. Because this weapon is so bad, I'm just going to go ahead and toss it. Alright, bye guys.